Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the League 2 Transfer Roundup. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 120 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. What do you believe has been the best piece of business completed over the last 7 days, and how would you assess your club's transfer business so far? Accrington Stanley completed the signing of 22-year-old goalkeeper Oliver Wright. He's come in on a loan transfer from Southampton's under-21s. Can't say I really know much about him, but as we know, Accrington like to give these younger players an opportunity to express themselves and show what they have got. I believe they didn't have a keeper on loan, or young keeper last season, with Billy Crellin off the top of my head, and I don't believe Accrington have had any further transfer departures. In terms of Barnet FC, I don't believe they've brought anybody else in through the door. I'm pretty sure we've already covered all of their business, and they did see the departure of Jermaine Francis. I'm not so sure if that was through not offering a contract, mutual termination, undisclosed fee. I'm not 100% sure, but he's made a step back down into non-league to sign for Hartlepool on a free transfer, and they've had a couple of other departures as well, but nothing really to note. In terms of Barrow AFC, I don't believe they've made any further additions as well, and in terms of departures from Barrow, I think we're yet to see any further transfer business in that department. Bristol Rovers, they've brought in Ryan Howley, a 21-year-old central midfielder. He's come in on a free transfer from Coventry. Can't really say I know much about him, but potentially he might build a midfield partnership with Josh McEachran, who obviously they brought in last week from Oxford United. They haven't brought anybody else in through the door, and they also haven't seen any further departures. In terms of Bromley, they're still yet to do any further transfer business, whether incomings or outgoings. In terms of Cambridge, I don't think they've made any new additions either. They've actually signed 3 players this window, all with the first name of Ben. So there's your fun fact of the week for you, and I don't believe Cambridge have had any further outgoings. In terms of Cheltenham Town, they've brought in 19-year-old left-back Tane Anderson. He's come in on a loan transfer from Bristol City's under-21s. Can't really say I know much about him, but I feel like 7 years ago, didn't Cheltenham have a left-back on loan from Bristol City and he did quite well? Was it Will Perry? Am I getting that completely wrong? Cheltenham fans, let me know down in the comment section down below, and I don't believe they've had any further departures. Ryan Bowman, I'm pretty sure, was released by the football club, and he's today been given a 3.5-year ban from football for breaching betting offences and all that sort of stuff. So he'll be like 36, 37. I don't see him playing in the professional game ever again. In terms of Chesterfield FC, I don't think they've brought anybody else in through the door on a permanent basis, but they have brought in Devon Tanton, a 21-year-old right back. He's coming on loan from Fulham's under-21s. We knew coming into this summer that Chesterfield definitely needed to improve in their defensive department, because they were very poor in that position at last campaign, and obviously they've brought in Tanton to try and provide a bit more competition for maybe Liam Mandeville in at that right back position. And they also brought in Matt Dibley-Diaz, a 21-year-old central midfielder on loan from Fulham's under-21, so a double deal from the Fulham Academy this summer, and it'll be interesting to see how that one does transpire. And I don't believe they've had any further transfer departures. In terms of Colchester United, I feel like they have brought somebody in through the door, but it's not on transfer market at this moment in time. It was Will Goodman, wasn't it? He's come in on loan from Oxford United. I'm not so sure if that deal was actually completed this morning or late last night, but I think he obviously proved he can be a very good League 2 striker from his time at Cheltenham. Was he worth the 400 grand move at the time to Oxford? Probably not. He's obviously been very limited with game time since their promotion into the Championship, but I do think that could prove to be a smart loan addition for Colchester. They have had a departure as well. Ben Goodliff, a 26-year-old centre-back, has joined Southend. It says down a free transfer. I thought it was for an undisclosed fee, but obviously he has been with Colchester for a year. I think actually went out on loan to Southend at the back end of last season, so it does make sense to go back there. Made a step back down into non-league, and it'll be interesting to see how he does get on when he links back up with them again. In terms of Crawley Town, they've brought in Lewis Flower, a 20-year-old striker from Brighton's under-21s. Can't really say I know too much about him, and I believe that is the only further transfer business which has happened. I'm pretty sure we covered Dion Pereira. If not, he signed from Luton on a free transfer. Winger, very good player for Bradford City, lacked the goal contributions, did well at Dagenham and Redbridge last campaign when he went on loan there, loads of goal contributions in the National League, and I think he could certainly thrive with Crawley next season. I don't believe they've had any further transfer departures. Benjamin Tanimu, a 22-year-old Nigerian centre-back, has joined MAS Fez for an undisclosed fee. Never heard of the bloke. Crewe Alexandra are yet to do any further transfer business. In terms of Fleetwood Town, they haven't had anybody come in through the door, but they did see the departure of Brendan Weir, who obviously club captain and definitely their best player last campaign. Now 25 years of age, plays predominantly as a centre-back, but can also do a job as a hold midfielder. He's gone to Plymouth for around £250,000, which I do think is a good signing for Plymouth. A loss of Fleetwood, but we knew that they were rejecting bids for him in January. I think he only had a year left on his contract, so it does make sense for him to now leave the club. They've got nearly £500,000 in terms of transfer fees coming in this summer with the sales of Weirdo and Patterson, and that's how Fleetwood need to operate, with them being a smaller club, not really getting their money in through sponsors or crowds, because they're not getting the sponsor money because of the small crowds. They're not getting the big crowds because obviously they are quite a small town. So they need to generate money in at player sales, and that is obviously what needs to be their club ethos. In terms of Gillingham, they haven't had anybody come in through the door or depart the club this week as well. In terms of Grimsby Town, they've brought in Zach Gilsonan, a 22-year-old attacking midfielder from Blackburn's under-21s on a free transfer, and I believe we already covered Jays Cabia, a 24-year-old striker who's come in on an undisclosed fee from Truro. If we didn't, then there you go. In terms of further departures for Grimsby, I don't believe anything has happened in that department. Moving on then to Harrogate Town, they obviously brought in Bobby Faulkner, a 20-year-old centre-back on loan from Doncaster Rovers. Good signing, really. Was never really going to play much with Donny this season, so I do think it will prove to be a smart pickup for Harrogate, obviously on loan for, you can only assume, the majority of the campaign, and a few of their released players have now found clubs, like the likes of MATTY FOULDS, ex-Bradford City, 27 years of age, left-back, has joined at St Johnstone on a free transfer, going over to Scotland north of the border. We already knew that Dean Cornelius has gone north of the border to sign up for Ross County, and I do think if Matty Folds can stay fit, I do think he is a decent League 2 left back, but obviously just massively struggled with injuries last campaign. MK Dons haven't brought anybody else in through the door, and I don't think we've seen any further departures as well. In terms of Newport County, I don't believe they've done any further transfer business. We have already mentioned all of their incomings. In terms of outgoings as well for Newport, nothing else to report from that point of view. In terms of Notts County, again, I believe we've already spoke about the majority of these. As we know, Barry Cotter has joined on loan from Barnsley, 26-year-old right back, can also do a job as a right winger. I don't think was really going to play much for Barnsley this season if they wanted to be successful. I think he'll probably play as the right wing back in Notts County's team, and I do think will prove to be a smart addition for them, obviously on loan, so there's that potential to make it permanent next summer, for example. And only 26, there's still plenty of room of development in his game. We've already spoken about the departure of Alex Bass, so we'll move on then to Oldham Athletic, who brought in 31-year-old midfielder Ryan Woods. He's come in on a free transfer from Exeter, and again will provide a wealth of experience in that midfield. Oldham are certainly bringing in a fair decent amount of over 30s coming into the club at this transfer window. I don't think they're really going to be challenging for the playoffs this season, but I think they'll be in and around 16th, somewhere like that. And I don't believe they've brought any. Actually, they have. They've brought in Jack Stevens, haven't they? A 24-year-old left winger. He's come in on an undisclosed fee from Solihull Moors. Again, that could prove to be a smart addition, bit of youth in that team, and obviously some quality in the final third. I believe we have already mentioned the loan addition of Kai Payne, but if not, he is a 20-year-old central midfielder who's come in from Wigan. He'll obviously be looking to get some experience with the Ticks this campaign, and there hasn't been any further departures out of Oldham. In terms of Salford City, they haven't brought anybody else in through the Dom. They've also not seen any further departures either. Shrewsbury Town as well, they haven't brought anybody else in through the Dom. We've also not seen any further departures from them too. In terms of Swindon Town, they brought back Lewis Ward to the club for his third spell, I believe now. Still only 28 years of age. He's come in on a free transfer from AFC Wimbledon, and I believe will probably be the backup to Connor Ripley next campaign. So it's just kind of one of them type of additions, and I don't believe they've brought anybody else in through the door. In terms of Swindon departures, we've seen an 18-year-old go out on loan to Scotland, but that doesn't really matter all too much. In terms of Tranmere Rovers, they've brought in Nohan Kenny, a 22-year-old holding midfielder from Hibernian on a free transfer. I feel like it's a name I've heard of, but not actually in terms of watching him play? Is he somebody who's always a free agent on career mode or football manager, something like that? Only 22, so obviously he'll provide a little bit of youth into that fairly ageing Tranmere Rovers squad. In terms of departures from Tranmere, we've not seen anything further happen in that department. Walsall FC, I want to say, haven't done any further transfer business since the last time that we spoke. I don't believe that they have, certainly not in terms of incomings. Have we had any further departures? I don't believe so. So that summarises all of this week's League 2 transfer business. Not really that much to go through, in all honesty, so we're just going to drag this video out a little bit longer so it gets to the 8-minute mark and we can put in some mid-rolls. Hopefully you understand that the game is the game. Thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. Can we try and hit 120 likes, as I mentioned at the start of today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. What do you believe has been the best piece of business completed over the last 7 days, and how would you assess your club's transfer business so far? Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.